Well, training camp is here, and we already have bad news. Ramsey injured, Burrow injured. Sounds like it's more serious for Ramsey. Sounds like Burrow just has a calf strain, but regardless, this is going to have implications for this next season. I think we are going to see fantasy football drafts change one way or another. So we're going to go ahead. We are going to hop into a 2023 fantasy football draft. We're going to get into the Best Ball Mania draft here on Underdog. This is going to be the largest tournament that they have. This is the $25 buy-in, $15 million prize pool, $3 million for first place, $1 million for second, all the way down the line. Some crazy regular season prizes as well. But let's get in here, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm interested to see where are these Cincinnati Bengals now being drafted. I'm going to assume that Chase still going inside the top 3 picks. I'm going to assume that Higgins maybe is falling to the 3rd round. Maybe Mixon falls to the 5th. But nonetheless, let's see what happens, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe nothing changes in this draft. But let's move this up. We're going to be in here at pick 6. So please let me know if you are in this live draft with us. If you are, let me know what pick you are at. I see Hayes ID in there at pick 9. I see Tanner in there at 1. Happy to have y'all. So Noisy Boy in here at 11. Tanner, yes, in here at 1. Hayes ID in here at 9. We got ER7 at pick 2. Skis at pick 12. Kennedy Curse in here at pick 4 as well. Good to see. Good to see. And yes, with Burrow's calf strain, this is, from what I've read, going to cause him to miss a significant amount of time during training camp, most likely the preseason, but he is most likely going to be good to go week 1. So, of course, that's why I'm saying I don't necessarily think we see any massive falls. I think maybe you just see T. Higgins going from like pick 23, 24, maybe down to pick 27, 28. Still expect Jamar Chase to be going top 3 as you usually see. There he goes off the board at 2. But nonetheless, I think this does insert a little bit of randomness into these drafts. But the Epic Cat coming out with a donation. Thank you so much, my friend. We'll get to that in just one second. Tyreek Hill off the board at 3. Okay. Cup goes 4. CMC goes. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to take Bijan Robinson. I understand maybe you shouldn't go Bijan Robinson here. I understand the argument against it. But at the end of the day, fantasy football is meant to be fun. Hook'em Lawrence. I'm a Texas Longhorn, or at least I was a Texas Longhorn back in the day. I interviewed Bijan Robinson at the NFL draft. I ran into him at the gym last week. So I have said, I'm taking my guy. I'm going to have fun in fantasy football this year. I'm going to root for someone I want to, and I'm going to take him after the first 5 guys are off the board. I won't take him ahead of Cup, Tyreek, Chase, Jefferson, CMC, but if those 5 options are gone, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to reach on Bijan Robinson here. But the Epic Cat coming out says, first-time caller, long-time listener. Should I keep Christian Watson for a 13th or Lawrence for a 7th? Also, we need to see the dog more. I'll get the dog on the live stream more often, my friend. Thank you so much. And personally, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Christian Watson in the 13th. I understand with this being a 14-team league, maybe you want to move up quarterbacks just a bit. But in reality, if you're looking at a 13th round pick in a 14-team league, it is non-existent, the opportunity cost there. So you're getting Christian Watson for just legitimately free. Now, Taylor goes pick 13. So, yeah, that team at pick 12 kind of copying us with what we decided to do in taking Devontae Adams, Jonathan Taylor at the 1-2 turn in the live stream yesterday to have that unique build. Well, I guess if everybody starts copying us, it's not going to be too unique of a build. It is what it is. Now, Saquon Barkley off 18. We'll go ahead. We will take Chris Olave here. If you look at Bijan Robinson going at the end of the first round, there won't be too many teams that have the combination of Bijan Robinson and Chris Olave through the first 2. So it is a little bit more of a unique build. Maybe you can say, well, Mason, the reason it's a unique build is because nobody wants to start off as bad as this. And that's definitely fair criticism. But nonetheless, we'll go ahead and we'll mix in Chris Olave. James, long time member of the flock, always happy to see him, says, Hey, Mason, 14-team PPR redraft, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex. We have the 101. Running backs historically go early in this league. Is it crazy to go Bijan and then hope for a Amon-Ra St. Brown, Garrett Wilson, or Olave at the 2-3 turn? What would you do? Obviously, if you're going to be playing in a league where you can only start up to 3 wide receivers, inherently wide receivers going to be worth a little bit less. And at the same time, if you're in a 14-team format, the supply and demand of the running back position is going to get thrown out the window a little bit. It's going to be much harder to come by a running back. So I understand the thought process and wanted to go RB at 1. With that being said, I'm most likely still taking CMC over Bijan Robinson. You know your league mates better than I do. If you truly think that you would be able to get Amon-Ra St. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, any 2 combination of those guys at the 2-3 turn, then honestly, not going to fault you at all if you decide to go ahead and take a running back there at pick 1. Okay, but let's move this over. And Jalen Hurts off the board at pick 25. So T. Higgins goes in the same exact spot you're used to seeing him. He goes to pick 24 in this draft. So it looks like not too many changes at all on that front. Okay, Charles says, bad day in the NFL injuries-wise. Wilson, Ramsey, and Burrow. I didn't see anything with Wilson. I was a little bit out of the loop today, not going to lie to you, but what happened with Wilson? Okay, Ramondre goes, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Josh Allen. Not going to overthink this too much at all. If we get Josh Allen in the middle of the third and the opportunity cost is, okay, well, we have to pass on Andrews. We have to pass on Amari Cooper. I think we're going to be fine. Wilson hurt his ankle, should be fine. Ankle. He was limping. Oh, okay, Garrett. Well, I thought you were talking Russell Wilson. Yeah, I saw the thing with Garrett Wilson limping, but I heard he was going to be fine. Never mind. For whatever reason, when I read Wilson, I just immediately thought Russ. But yeah, from what I saw, looks like Garrett Wilson should be good to go. And of course, real quick, just in case you have not heard me say this 10,000 times by now, if y'all don't know what we're doing, we are drafting on Underdog Fantasy. These are best ball drafts, so there's no time commitment at all during this season. That's how I drafted 700 teams and won $150,000 last year. And this is the same site that you see all the player props in the videos, right? I know y'all don't care about baseball, so we don't need to show those, but we can go over to football. My favorite player prop on Underdog right now is Jamar Chase plus 25 receiving yards versus Devontae Adams. And of course, if you want to get into one of these Underdog drafts with us, whether or not that's on the live stream or if you want to just go do that on the public lobby, we'll be drafting every single day until 2024. You can sign up with promo code FLOCK and they'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, you'll get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com, and it's available in damn near every state. You can see all the states here, ladies and gentlemen. But Mystical says, will that Jamar bet change with Burrow? I mean, from what I saw, no, it has not moved the line. I guess maybe this is now not as appealing if you have to be worried about Burrow with the calf strain. But regardless, I still like it. Cito asking if we're getting the Mastiff tonight. Looks like we have no shot of the Mastiff. But Breece Hall goes down at pick 33. Yeah, so obviously we have Dalvin rumors. From what I read, is it looks like Dalvin Cook is about $1 million off from agreeing with the contract with the New York Jets. If that were to happen, you have to assume Breece Hall falls pretty damn far. I don't want to speculate as that much on how far he may end up falling. But what I would assume is he probably goes down to like the Travis Etienne range, Kenneth Walker range maybe. Okay, so Najee Harris off the board 41. Travis Etienne goes as well. So once you have Etienne, I think we're just locked into a wide receiver. And once we take Bijan Robinson in round 1, we're already making a bet that this Atlanta Falcons offense is maybe better than people expect overall. So might as well double down on said bet by going ahead and taking Drake London here at pick 43. But Lightning says 12-team app PPR. We're going to go JT or Bijan 106. Lean Bijan here, a running back. Yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and take Bijan Robinson over Jonathan Taylor this year. I mean, my issue is just think you have to be a little bit concerned about the Indianapolis Colts offense overall. Now, at cost, I still really like taking JT in these Underdog drafts and a lot of the live drafts. You will get Jonathan Taylor in the middle of the second round. He's one of my most drafted running backs alongside with Saquon Barkley. It's hard for me to pass on them when we get the ability to take them in the second. And with Michael Pittman, now that he's going like wide receiver 33, I actually like him. But you have to understand that there are concerns with this overall offense, right? James is still my favorite analyst. Help me win the championship. Yeah, you can see that picture in the avatar. Really do appreciate you. James has been out here with us for a long, long time, my man. Thank you so much. All right, so let's move this around. You have Mike Williams going 48, so Joe Mixon goes 47. So it looks like there's no discount at all on the Cincinnati Bengals players, at least so far in this draft, at least so far. Now, Hawkinson goes off the board, pick 50. I mean, maybe Burrow's giving you a little bit of a discount here. I mean, the team that has both Joe Mixon and Jamar Chase, they decide to pass on Joe Burrow, which I don't really understand. And now you have Trevor Lawrence off the board, pick 51. Very interesting to see that Joe Burrow is sliding in this draft. However, all other Cincinnati Bengals players stay the same price. I'm not going to take Burrow. If I didn't take Allen, I would go ahead and pull the trigger on Joe Burrow here in the middle of round 5. Feel like it's difficult to do so whenever we took Josh Allen in round 3. But am I the only one that thinks it's a little bit weird for Chase to still go at 2, Mixon to still go at 47, Higgins to go at 24, and Burrow to fall 11 picks past ADP down here to 55? Dear God. Yeah. And I'm not saying that Burrow should fall this far. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just trying to say that you can't have it both ways. I don't think Burrow should fall if Chase, Higgins, and Mixon are staying the same. If there's real concern about the Joe Burrow calf strain, then all these guys need to fall together. Or if there's no concern, they all need to go at the same price. You know, at least that's my viewpoint of it. Of course, I could be wrong. Now, the Lamar Jackson team does decide to go ahead and take Justin Herbert there to pair him up with Keenan Allen. And let me get a sparkling water going, ladies and gentlemen. I have not had a single sparkling water today, so I'm going to treat myself here on this live stream. Let's move this over. Miles Sanders off the board. Deontay Johnson goes 63. I know what we're looking to do here. I don't want to say it on the live stream. Tyler Lockett off 64. Pickens 65. Oh, yeah, that's Tommy Nose. I did not even notice Tommy Nose was in this draft with us. You know he's always going to go get his guy, George Pickens. Akers goes, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take... do we mix it up? I think we actually mix it up here a bit. I think we are going to go and take Mike Evans. I mean, we have this NFC South thing kind of going here with the Atlanta Falcons, New Orleans Saints, and now Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In reality, kind of like the wide receivers before we get the massive teardrop at the position. On top of this, if we're going to be looking at Michael Pittman versus Mike Evans, I've just simply drafted so much Michael Pittman already this year that I do want to balance up a bit. And I think Mike Evans at this price point is going to be fine. And hopefully we get some big time games in this division. Most likely not, but who knows? It's a $25 buy-in, $3 million for first place, right? Sumo Bro asking what the sparkling water flavor is. It is just unsweetened carbonated water, my friend. It's beautiful, beautiful. So Dallas Goedert off the board, 72 to pair with the Jalen Hurts team. And then Gabe Davis, 73. Sadly, we're not getting Gabe Davis here. Y'all know that I generally like drafting Davis. I mean, at cost in underdog drafts, right? Last year, 3rd round, it was horrible. Last year, you should have never done it. I never did it, but hell, it is what it is. What's the report on Montgomery that I didn't see today? Okay, Montgomery healthy for camp. Good, good. Okay. Jordan Addison goes 76. Kyle Pitts, 77. That does kind of suck for us. I'd have been excited about taking Kyle Pitts, but we'll be fine taking David Montgomery regardless. I hope that y'all had the chance to watch the video I put out today. What I essentially did is I did a deep dive on offensive line rankings for this next season. It's not like I am smart enough to be able to sit here and watch offensive line tape and rank these offensive lines myself, but I am just barely smart enough to be able to go to Google and search offensive line rankings and grab them from every site I can find and then compile a list of all said rankings, average them out, and see what consensus is for what offensive line should be good, what offensive lines should be bad, and what offensive lines should be average this next year. And consensus has it, the Detroit Lions, a top 3 offensive line in the NFL this next season. So if that's the case, I do think you can have enough production for both Montgomery as well as Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, I honestly have drafted a lot of both these running backs. I really haven't drafted a lot of Goff. I haven't drafted any Sam Laporta. I really even haven't drafted a lot of Amon-Ra St. Brown because I'm taking Devontae Adams instead. But yeah, with the Lions, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm not investing a ton into the overall offense, but I'm investing a lot into the running back position strictly based off the offensive line. Okay, now Javonte Williams off the board. Now, Arab Jerry coming out says, I got Mahomes, Ramondre, Pollard, Jefferson, Amari, Goddard, Scary Terry, the Bills defense, number 1 overall pick in a 10-team PPR format. What are we thinking? So Jefferson, I really like this team. I don't know who went at the 2-3 turn and who ended up going in round 4. Because from my point of view, it seems like Pollard, Ramondre, Mahomes all should go in the 2nd and 3rd round, no? Maybe it was a keeper league and somehow you're able to keep one of those guys. If not, crazy value on at least one of those players that made it to you, my friend. But I think we're going to go ahead and take Alvin Kamara here and I guess continue to make the bet on this overall division. Now, I understand Kadarius Toney's the guy falling in ADP, but I mean, we were calling Kadarius Toney the worst pick in fantasy football drafts when he was going in round 6 before the injury. Now that he's injured, I'm not going to go ahead and all of a sudden hype up Kadarius Toney and feel the need to draft Kadarius Toney in round 8. Kadarius Toney's missing all the training camp, missing the preseason. Hell, I'm fine passing on him. I'm fine. Okay. Now, of course, real quick, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream. If we hit 350 likes in the stream, we are going to be firing up another draft, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, if you want to get into our next draft, if you want to go check out any of those player props on Underdog Fantasy, you can find the link to Underdog in the live chat in the description. It's best ball, so no time commitment at all during the year. And if you sign up with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. So you're pretty much getting paid to try it out. Plus, you'll get our 2023 fantasy football rankings and a free trial to flockfantasy.com. Okay. Now, Kirk Cousins goes pick 98. Kadarius Toney's still falling. We are now what? 19 picks past ADP. Damian Harris goes to pick 99. So we are now officially 20 picks past Kadarius Toney's ADP. Cortland Sutton goes, and do not hate me for this, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all know I have like no Kadarius Toney at all. Okay. I've avoided him like the plague. I've literally written articles on flockfantasy.com. I made a put video when everybody was hyping him up when he was going in round 6, calling him the worst pick ever. This is where he should be getting drafted. He should be wide receiver 50-ish. That's where the upside case makes sense. If Kadarius Toney is going past pick 100, if he's going in between Cortland Sutton, Tyler Boyd, I will take Kadarius Toney. Round 6, horrible pick. People used to take the man over freaking Mike Evans. Yes, people were doing that. Here, round 9, still a very, very risky selection. But as I've said all offseason, I think the Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver depth chart is wide open. I think it can be anybody. It can be Tony. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. And we'll go ahead and we'll take him at 102. Okay. Sumer Bro says, that's what I'm saying. Like, when he's 20 picks past ADP, how do I not stack him with Mahomes? I feel like you have to, right? At least before we see ADP shake out. Like, if Kadarius Toney ends up falling to have like an ADP of like 110, then maybe I reevaluate our stance and maybe we're not drafting him with pick 100 anymore. But for the time being, if we're going to especially consider the fact that, I mean, in the context of this overall tournament, there have been over 300,000 teams get drafted. And if a lot of these teams were taking Kadarius Toney in round 6, if Kadarius Toney does end up having a big time season this next year, and we got him in round 9, we can outkick those Kadarius Toney teams that got him in round 6, if that makes sense. Tommy Doe says, I avoid Toney like the plague as well, but I was salivating at the value there. And of course you took it. Yeah. Well, thank you for making me feel a little bit more confident about the selection, my man. Thank you. Iswaro says, are we trying the $1,000 draft today? I'm not going to lie to you. I entered the $1,000 draft right before this live stream. I left immediately because it was so empty that it looked like we didn't have a shot to fill it. And I didn't want to title the live stream, $1,000 draft, if I thought we had no shot to fill it. Over the past 3 days, I thought there was a realistic shot that we filled the $1,000 draft. But today I'm less willing to say that's a possibility. Frymuth off the board at 113. Great pick with Pat Frymuth. Tommy Doe's just going all out Pittsburgh Steelers here with Najee, Pickens, Frymuth. I knew he wasn't going to let us have him. I knew he wasn't. RM saying, nice haircut, Mason. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Yeah, needed one bad. Rashad Penny off the board. So we'll go ahead and we will take Anthony Richardson here. I mean, with Richardson, we don't have any Indianapolis Colts. I understand that generally we want to be stacking our quarterbacks with our receivers. Duh. Everybody and their mom knows that by now. We've proven that with math based off historical research. But at the same time, if we were going to have a quarterback unstacked, one of the guys that I would be fine with is going to be Anthony Richardson, considering the fact that you're not necessarily betting on the passing volume in Indianapolis. Instead, you're betting on the rushing upside. So, yeah, I'm going to be fine taking an unstacked Anthony Richardson if he falls this far past ADP. I mean, hell, I saw people in the chat telling us that we needed to be taking Anthony Richardson there at pick 102 instead of Kadarius Toney. So, yeah, at 115, feel like it's a completely fair price point. But definitely not drafting another quarterback now that we have Allen and Richardson. But Tyler coming out says, started a 12-team Superflex Dynasty draft yesterday. 104, we grabbed Burrow, Brown, Hall, Walker, Addison. Advice for the rest of the draft. So if you're looking at your team, you started off young enough to build for the long term as well. You started off productive enough to compete this season. And in general, this is what I am looking to do in Dynasty startup drafts. I want to have a balanced approach where the start of our draft can lead to a long-term 2024 productive struggle build or can lead to us winning right away. That way we can just take the value with where it lies later in the draft. If that's with veterans, if that's to win immediately, then go down that road. If that's for long-term value by trading away for future picks, then go down that road. I think you stay flexible from this point, my friend, and you just see what kind of value you can get. Okay, now Jamal Williams goes 124. Russell Wilson off the board. I've been taking a lot of Odell Beckham Jr., but hell, I mean, if we're going to get anybody pretty much on Underdog, 16 picks past ADP, I feel like we kind of have to go ahead and pull the trigger just if you consider the overall context of these Underdog tournaments. Now we're trying to soak up ADP values and build a team that not many other people in this tournament are going to. I mean, there are 317,000 teams drafted. How many teams are going to have Kadarius Toney after pick 100, Anthony Richardson after pick 110, Odell Beckham Jr. after pick 120. I feel like this isn't going to be a super unique build. So yeah, let's do it. Now, Tommy Noe says, I literally double checked to see where you were in this round. As soon as I realized you were after me, I knew I had Patty in the bag. Yes. I should have taken him over Kadarius Toney just to spite you, my man. I should have done it. I mean, we have no tight end at this point, but obviously when we have Josh Allen, we're going to be looking at Dalton Kincaid on the way back around. Now, of course, now that I say that, the probability we get Dalton Kincaid there at pick 139 is going to be a little bit lessened, but it's no, secret to anybody, right? If I have Josh Allen and I have no Stephon Diggs and I have no Gabe Davis and I have no James Cook, of course I'm going to be looking for Dalton Kincaid a little later on. Okay. Nate says, do you regret taking Mike Evans over Pittman now? I mean, yeah, of course. If this was like a league where we could make moves during the season, I would 100% go ahead and trade Mike Evans for Michael Pittman, considering the fact that we get Anthony Richardson 115. I don't want to sit here and say we regret it, though, because in reality, if you're planning out your drafts and you're trying to make the best decision for you at the time, I mean, we weren't expecting to be able to get Anthony Richardson 10, 11 picks past ADP, right? Like, that's not the baseline expectation when we go into it. But we are only running back, wide receiver, tight end. We can't take Rodgers. We can't take Goff. I mean, hell, we already have Josh Allen. We already have Anthony Richardson. So our number one target here with Josh Allen is going to be Dalton Kincaid. Yes, fingers crossed. We're only 2 picks away. Both teams only have 1 tight end, so they could have gone Kincaid. And hell yes, we are lucky enough to get Dalton Kincaid there at 139 to stack him with Josh Allen, ladies and gentlemen. Rashee Rice goes immediately after at 140. I have drafted the hell out of Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice is my most drafted Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver. Simply stated, I think the depth chart's wide open. Give me the cheapest guy. I think that Rashee Rice could possibly be the wide receiver 1 in Kansas City this next year. So whenever he was going in round 13, 14, Kadarius Toney was going in round 6, I was taking the cheap guy. Now, they're a lot closer. I feel like it's a decent spot to just try to balance our exposures at this new updated price. But yeah, let's move this down. Jasmine says, you mean lucky enough to get Khalil Shakir? Hopefully. We'll see. I need to make you a moderator, Jasmine. Jasmine's out here with us in this live stream every single day. All right. Aaron Rodgers goes 114. We can do anything but quarterback. Aaron Rodgers makes it all the way to 144. Dear God. Yeah, that team had no Jets, but I mean, at that point, if you're going to get Rodgers to that kind of value, right? I mean, just go ahead and pull the trigger and then look for McCole Hardman in the last round. Okay. Shaheed off the board 147. Derek Carr goes 148. I don't exactly know what we want here. Let's go ahead and let's take Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Y'all know in general, I like pairing up wide receivers from the same team. I think it makes a lot of sense in best ball in particular. I think that this could work out a multitude of different ways. One, what if Sky Moore doesn't work out? What if Rashee Rice doesn't work out? What if Kelsey goes down? The man's 34 and Tony and MVS both end up being hits this next season. I like the price point on Tyler Algier. I like the price point on Kondre Miller as well. My issue is we have both Bijan Robinson as well as Alvin Kamara in this draft, so I think we're incentivized to stay away from those running backs. If we're incentivized to stay away from those backs, and we have Tony, I like pairing up Tony with MVS. Not super confident about this selection, right? Like, I mean, pick 115, Anthony Richardson, it's a no-brainer. Pick 139, Dalton Kincaid, it's a no-brainer. Pick 150, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, it's okay. We'll go ahead and we'll take him, right? We'll take him. Okay. Let's move this down. That's surprised. I see your comment, Sumo. It's pretty funny. I'm not going to put it on the screen, though. All right. I need to make Sumo a mod as well. Sumo's always out here. If I can. Sometimes this is a little weird. Bam. Now, Brock Purdy off 158. Weird spot to take a backup quarterback in my mind, but of course I'm no expert. I wonder if we should have just taken Alec Pierce instead of Marquez Valdes-Scantling, considering the fact that we had Richardson. Mims goes 160. We are running back, wide receiver, tight end. Kenny Pickett goes 161. Stafford goes, so I think we have no real option but to take Alec Pierce here as an 8th wide receiver. I like this team, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's a team that has some upside that not many people are going to have a team that looks anything like this, right? Now, pick 6, Bijan. Obviously, we reach a bit. 19, Olave. 30, Allen. Let's go position by position. Running back, we're sitting with Bijan Robinson, David Montgomery, as well as Alvin Kamara. Wide receiver, we have Olave, London, Ayuk, Evans, Tony, Odell, MVS, Alec Pierce. Quarterback, we have Allen stacked up with Kincaid. We have Richardson stacked up with Alec Pierce. Now, the offenses we are betting on. We're betting on the Falcons with Bijan Robinson, Drake London. We're betting on the Saints with Olave, Alvin Kamara. We're betting on the Bills with Allen Kincaid. We are betting on the Colts with Richardson Pierce. And we are betting on the Chiefs with Tony and MVS. So I really like this team. I really do. Now, we are exclusively running back and tight end through the rest of this draft, ladies and gentlemen. I'm most likely taking 3 tight ends. I'm most likely taking 5 running. I'm going 5 RBs, 3 tight ends. So we're going to take 2 more of each. Tommy knows let's check out Tommy knows' team right after we make our next selection here. Campbell goes 171. Juwan Johnson 172. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Deontay Foreman here. I mean, got the report a couple days ago, or if not yesterday, that he was splitting first-team reps with Khalil Herbert. So, I mean, hook 'em horns. We'll just go with Texas Longhorn. And let's check out Tommy Knows' team, who has at wide receiver Lamb, Waddle, Amari, Pickens, Myers, Mingo, Mechie. Running back Najee, Dobbins, Rashad White, James Cook, Roshan. Quarterback Dak stacked with Lamb. Pickett stacked with Frymuth, Pickens, and Najee. So really this team does hinge on that one Pittsburgh Steelers offense. What I think makes the team, honestly, is getting Dak 104 and then Frymuth still at 113. In my mind, that's the most exciting thing about the team. Now, Zach's coming out with the donation. Thank you, my friend. Thank you so much for hanging out with us in this live stream. Let's move this back around. And we hit 350 likes on the stream, so we're going to fire up another draft after this one, ladies and gentlemen. Most likely going to make a selection here in this round and then bounce to the next draft. We are running back tight ends, so we're going to take 1 more running back and 2 more tight ends. Okay, Chuba Hubbard goes off the board 184. I like this team. This is one of my favorite teams we've drafted in a while. I feel like we stayed balanced. We gave ourselves flexibility to take values later on in the draft. Zach says, I love how you change your build depending on who's there. Thank you, my man. Yeah. When you're going to draft it, like when you draft as many teams as I do, you can't really afford to do the same thing over and over again. Like, I would be super arrogant if I were to say, I know best. I know 100% that this is going to work out. In reality, it's always a game of probabilities. I think that I can maybe be a little bit better at guessing said probabilities than the next guy, but still, at the end of the day, I'm trying to make an educated guess on what's going to happen. And it is a guess. I could 100% be wrong. So I can't do the same thing in every single draft. I do need to be mixing it up if I'm going to be drafting this many teams. But, yeah, we're going to have Jeff Wilson 187. I think pretty good news if Dalvin's not going there. You still have the possibility of Hunt, still have the possibility of Fournette, still have the possibility of Ezekiel Elliott. But if Dalvin's possibly going to the Jets, pretty good news for Jeff Wilson. Let's go ahead and let's hop into the next draft, ladies and gentlemen. Going to be another Best Ball Mania draft, $25 buy-in. $15 million prize pool, $3 million for first place. You know the deal. Let's go ahead and let's get in this bad boy. And let's see if we can get pick one. Come on. Y'all got to give me my props. Maybe I need to walk back my statement. I mean, previously I was saying I was not the best. I was an idiot. Maybe I wasn't right to just blah, blah, blah. No. The fact that I can just pull pick one every single day shows, no, I am the best. I know exactly what I'm doing. God. Yes, Tesla coming out says, work harder, bozos. Yes. If you want to sit here and cry about how I'm always at pick one, this is the statement I got for you. It's pure skill. You need to work harder, you bozos. If you were not so lazy, maybe you could get pick one the fraction of the time that I do. Let's go. Let's go. Charlie says, did we ever get in the $1,000 draft? Sadly, we did not, my friend. Sadly, we did not. We're going to go ahead. We are going to take Justin Jefferson off the board at 1. And now I must be pushing like 12, 13% Justin Jefferson. And that other draft, I'm going to go ahead and take Trey McBride as our second tight ends. We're taking 3 tight ends in that other draft as well. So maybe we mix it up and go a little bit of Jelani Woods. Doesn't really matter who our third tight end is. We'll just take a swing on someone. Okay. Yes, Justin Jefferson, a bold move. Okay, now let me give some in-depth analysis with this Justin Jefferson pick. Justin Jefferson is a wide receiver that plays for the Minnesota Vikings that is going to score a lot of what I call fantasy football points. And in fantasy football, it is a very good idea. I would say it's probably the number one strategy to draft players that are going to score a lot of fantasy football points. So he checks that one box that we look for, and we're going to keep it to that. It's kind of that simple here, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, if you want the opportunity to get in here, draft with us, you're not going to be at pick 1. Yours truly will be. If you want to take some players that will score a lot of fantasy football points, highly recommend you hopping into some of these underdog best ball drafts. There's no time commitment at all during the year. That's why it's the best place to get in some extra drafts. You're not going to be replacing the main fantasy football league you already play in. It's no time commitment at all during the season. That's why it's going to be on the side for you. And if you sign up with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, you'll get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com, and it's available in damn near every state, ladies and gentlemen. You can see the states here. And also, of course, Underdog's the reason I'm able to live stream every single day. If you enjoy watching these live streams every single day, by far and away, there's no better way you can support this channel than going and depositing $10 on Underdog with code FLOCK, getting 20 in your account, practicing in a couple of these drafts before your main league, and also getting our rankings for it and getting a free trial to flockfantasy.com. Now, K Squared Golf coming out says, got the 105 earlier, started CMC Henry Allen. How do we feel about that? Generally, I'm not going Derrick Henry at pick 20. I understand the thought process now if you're going to be looking at Hopkins, maybe elevating the overall offense. I do have questions surrounding the offensive line that you have in Tennessee. I mean, based off the research that we did into offensive line rankings this next year, looks like almost consensus has the Tennessee Titans as one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. So I don't know. Definitely love CMC pick 5. Really like Josh Allen at the 305 as well. I think if you had the opportunity to maybe go wide receiver in round 2 instead, it could have given you a little bit more flexibility, but I don't know. But Matt said he loves the haircut. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Okay. And here's something that I noticed, and I'm not saying this because, I'm asking you all to tell me I have a nice haircut. But if you want to be nice and have someone like you in real life, if you notice one of your friends or if you notice anybody close to you gets a haircut, it doesn't matter if it is the ugliest haircut in the world and you don't like it, tell them you like their haircut. If you tell someone you like their haircut, they will be very happy for it. But Now, Devonta Smith off the board at 21. T. Higgins goes 22, so we don't even get the shot to take T. Higgins here. Now, I wonder what we'll do, ladies and gentlemen. I wonder what we'll do. I've never been at pick 1 before. I've never had this decision. I guess if you force me, I'll take Derrick Henry and Jalen Hurts. If you're going to force me, I'll do it. But Tommy Doe says, I know you're not a believer, but Justin Ross getting love at camp. Beat writers saying he's consistently flashing, and he had a pretty sweet one-hander. I would love Justin Ross to go out there and dominate. It would be one hell of a football story, and I'm rooting for him. But you have seen time and time again that big wide receivers generally flash in camp when it's not about physicality, when it's not about generating separation. And at the same time, I will say you really don't care about one-handed grabs in training camp. I just want to put that out there as well because I love seeing them. Trust me. I mean, I'm the guy sitting here and watching every Trey Lance pass attempt in training camp as if it matters. In reality, it doesn't. Watching something on Twitter means literally nothing. It's fun and it's entertainment, but we shouldn't really have any fantasy football takeaways. Now, the fantasy football takeaways at training camp should be like the report that we got with Deontay Foreman versus Khalil Herbert. They're telling us Foreman's out there with the first team. You hear Foreman and Herbert are out there with the first team, you should go, oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting, right? Like, that's a real takeaway. Like, something like this, in my mind, it doesn't matter as much, but of course, I could be an idiot. Teague says, last year, which spot had the best qual rates? Let me try to think. I don't know. The thing is, picks 1 and 2 last year split Taylor and CMC. The CMC team's crushed. Hell, we won the big dog for $100,000 last year with CMC. But the Taylor teams, which I was drafting more Taylor than I was Christian McCaffrey last year. I did have Jonathan Taylor ranked at pick 1, which clearly was a horrible call. The Taylor teams got crushed. I don't know. What pick did have the best rate? I have no idea, my friend. Okay. Brees Hall going off the board at pick 36. Jerry Jeudy goes 37. If you're there at pick 34 and you take Mark Andrews, I mean, I think the primary reason you do so and the primary reason you have to take Andrews there is just based off the possibility that Lamar Jackson makes it back around to you. So you must be a little bit frustrated, right, when Lamar Jackson goes like immediately after and you have no shot to get him. Najee Harris off the board, 38. Nathan says, 8-man league, I get my choice of pick. What should I take? 8-team format, really the only thing that matters is going out there and grabbing an elite stud at the onesie positions and running backs. Wide receiver depth is going to be super easy to find later on. So in an 8-team format, I would actually move up CMC, Austin Eckler, as well as Travis Kelce into tier 1 alongside Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. Obviously, 12-team format. I think Jefferson, Chase are in their own tier as the two top dogs. In reality, I think you're going to be fine with any of the top 5 players. And those 5 guys being CMC, Eckler, Kelce, Jefferson, Chase, in any order you want in an 8-team league. Honestly, I wouldn't even mind if you wanted to specifically target Kelce round 1 in that kind of format. Okay, but we are not going to be taking Burrow here. I want to make that loud and clear for the team at 3 who has Higgins and the team at 2 that has Chase. I will not take Burrow. It's going to be one of these 2 teams that take Burrow. You don't know when they're going to do it, but they probably will. Joe Mixon at 45. So does the Higgins team take Burrow or is it the Chase team? Okay, the Higgins team goes McLaurin, so it looks like the Chase team is going to get Burrow. They're going to give us Mike Williams. And once we take Mike Williams, don't really know what we should do from here. I think we're probably going to reach on Hawkinson. Kenneth Walker, I believe, is already drafted, right? Yeah, Kenneth Walker's a player that I'll mix in here at the beginning of round 5 as well. Yeah, let's take Hawkinson, and then that team at 2, fantasy football is fun, is going to get Joe Burrow on the way back around a big 50. Obviously, it would have been nice having like DJ Moore and Mike Williams, or Terry McLaurin and Mike Williams. I was kind of hoping that the T. Higgins team was going to take Joe Burrow, but oh my gosh, that Chase team decides that they don't even want the Burrow risk. They go for the DJ Moore, Justin Fields stack. So let's see the team at 22. Now I'll get Joe Burrow, I guess, at big 51. They go what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is back-to-back drafts where it makes literally no sense. It makes no sense what's going on. In my mind, if you are worried about the Burrow injury, you probably shouldn't take Chase at 2. You probably shouldn't take Higgins at 22. Hell, you probably shouldn't take Mixon at 45. If you're worried about the Burrow injury, those guys should probably fall a bit. If you're not worried about it, then take them. Who the hell cares? But also, I feel like you probably have to take Joe Burrow over Justin Herbert if you already make the commitment that the offense is going to be fine by taking T. Higgins there at 22. So, like I said previously, I don't understand. I feel like you kind of got to pick a lane. You either got to pick a lane that Burrow's going to be fine and there's nothing to worry about, or Burrow's going to miss a little bit of time and there's something to worry about. I don't know. Okay. Let's move this down. Z-Plane says, Mason, does Underdog have admins that monitor drafts to make sure no funny business happens? Blah, blah, blah. Yes, I'm sure there are a lot of people in the live stream before that have seen like a weird draft and it's gotten thrown out and Underdog's refunded you. So yeah, every once in a while, there'll be someone that tries to come in here and cheat in an overall tournament. It's like the same thing in any tournament. Like if you're in a poker tournament per se, there's a game integrity, and Underdog works to protect that and will ban anybody who tries to sabotage it. Okay. Now, Michael Pittman off 61, George Kittle off 60. GBD12 says, I picked a 2 recently and got Chase, Henry, Higgins, Terry, and Burrow. Interesting. Okay. For the second draft here, we'll get our second sparkling water going, ladies and gentlemen. Teague says, if Burrow's slightly injured, does that raise Mixon stock? So let's go through a hypothetical situation. If Joe Burrow were to miss time, which I'm not saying he will, but in this hypothetical situation, I've seen some people in the chat say, oh, okay, well, raise up Joe Mixon because they're going to run the ball more. No. If Joe Burrow does not play and you got to bring in the backup, then the offense is going to be much, much worse. Much worse. And you would move Joe Mixon down. Tommy Noe says, to be fair, I have done the Fields more stack with Chase long before the possible injury. I'm more annoyed that others are now doing it as well. Makes sense for the DJ Moore team to go Justin Fields there at pick 50. If they want to get unique, blah, blah, blah. But in my mind, it just makes no sense for the Herbert team to do it, if that makes sense. At least in my mind. Okay. Tyler Lockett off the board, 66. So Dobbins, someone else that people are slightly concerned about in injury, is sliding down. Dobbins, ADP 59, still available at pick 67. Gabriel Davis off the board. Darren Waller goes 68. Have y'all noticed Waller moving up these draft boards? I know Jeep Guy loves him some Darren Waller. But have y'all noticed Waller going higher and higher? Dobbins finally off the board, 69. This team has Calvin Ridley. I wonder if they go Lawrence. I think Lawrence is in play for anybody here. They go Montgomery instead. Pitts goes, thank God, because we couldn't take Kyle Pitts because we were planning on going Dallas Goedert here anyway. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to grab Mike Evans, pick 72, and we're going to go Dallas Goedert, 73, to pair up Goedert with Jalen Hurts. And we have Hawkinson there as well. So going with the pseudo bully tight end strategy here with a combination of TJ Hawkinson as well as Dallas Goedert. Y'all know I love me some Jalen Hurts, Dallas Goedert stacks. I mean, there's nothing I like more. Okay. George Pickens goes 75 right after Dotson at 74. I was almost going to be frustrated. I was expecting that team at pick 2 to pull the trigger on Mike Evans at 71, expecting that they were going to be able to get Kyle Pitts on the way back around, which they would have. But yeah, because I would definitely rather have Mike Evans over John Dotson. That's going to be a no-brainer. Really like our start so far with the hero running back build with Derrick Henry. Then wide receiver Jefferson, Big Mike. I mean, I guess double Big Mikes here. We got the Mike Evans and the Mike Williams. Okay. And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, of course, if y'all want another draft after this one, go down there, drop a like on this live stream. If we had 600 likes on the stream, we were going to be firing up another draft. And if you want to get into our next draft, if you want to draft with us at any point, I'll be live literally every single day until 2024. I've not missed a day of live streaming since April. We're going to be drafting on Underdog Fantasy. This is the same place where you see all these player props, and they're all over the videos. I'm sure y'all have seen a million of them by now. But you can sign up for Underdog with promo code FLOCK with the link in the live chat, the link in the description. Promo code FLOCK will get you a 100% deposit match up to $100. So they're pretty much paying you to try out Underdog Fantasy. Plus, you'll get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com, and it's available in damn near every state. You can see all the states here, ladies and gentlemen. But nothing supports the channel more than that. Now, Zay Flowers, 83 to pair up with Lamar Jackson, and then Treylon Burks on the way back around at 86. I want to see what our $1,000 team that we drafted a while ago looks like now that ADP has changed a decent amount. So that team at quarterback, we had Geno, Russ, Lance. Yes, we did take Lance in the $1,000 draft. Don't make fun of me. Running back, we had CMC, Jonathan Taylor, Tony Pollard, Zach Charbonnet. Wide receiver, we had London, Kirk, Pittman, Gabe Davis, Bateman, Marvin Mims, Wandale, Devontae Parker. Tight end, we have Darren Waller, Dalton Schultz, and Taysom Hill. Honestly, I still like that team. Still like it. But Tommy Knows coming out of the donation says, I've also kind of like to target guys like Chase Brown, etc. Not to stack them, but I'm a believer in guys like Pickett this year. So in my mind, I like to try to load up and then load up top, then stack on bottom. I'm going to have to read that again, my friend, after we make our selection here. Didn't 100% understand that, if I'm going to be honest with you, but also I'm stupid, if I'm going to be honest with you. Okay. I don't want to say too much until we're on the clock here. Did notice that Lawrence fell a ton in this draft. Lawrence ADP 66. Made it to pick like 81. So we're going to take Watson. I can't pass on Watson at 86. I'm sorry. The next question being is, do we take Kamara? In my mind, best available. Actually, we can't even reach on Njoku. Hell yeah, no, we can't reach on Njoku. We already have 2 tight ends. So yeah, we're going to go to Sean Watson, Alvin Kamara here. We're going to do that. Okay. Okay, so Tommy Doe's essentially saying that he prefers having the cheaper stacking options and not the premium stacks, which definitely makes sense. I mean, if you go through and if you look at a lot of research on what won last year and the year prior, stacking like quarterbacks and they're like wide receiver 3 in best ball actually makes a pretty big difference. Obviously, in like your normal redraft format, really you're only going after the premium stacks. Best ball, you can afford to go a little bit deeper with your stacks. Okay, let's move this down. Yeah, we're going to have Alvin Kamara off the board, 97. We used to get Alvin Kamara past pick 100. I mean, it's very difficult to now get him at that price point, but I'm still going to be fine taking him here. Still be fine taking him here. Okay, now after we go Kamara, you have Sutton, Charbonnet, Thomas, Dameon Pierce. Really the only thing that we're rooting for, of course, is going to be to see quarterbacks off the board. I mean, when we already have Deshaun Watson, Jalen Hurts, it's like, okay, just take some quarterbacks, give us literally, I guess we already have our 2 tight ends, right? We go with the bully quarterback and bully tight end here. So we're just looking for running backs, wide receivers through the rest of this draft. And so it looks like wide receivers are falling a considerable amount here. Rodgers off the board, 108. Of course, we love to see that with our team. But yeah, if we're looking at this, Jameson Williams falling a considerable amount as well. I mean, Williams getting banged up in training camps. Not a great sign as is. Let's move this around. Frymuth goes 108, 109. Love Frymuth, but good for us to see him go. Teague says, do you think the Raiders trade Josh Jacobs? And if so, who do you think they sign? I have no idea, my friend. I have no idea. I'm never drafting a player in fantasy football, or at least at this point of the year, there are not many players in fantasy football I'm drafting with the purpose of them being traded. The only guy that I would be drafting with the thought process in the back of my mind, well, maybe they get dealt, would be Trey Lance. That's the only guy. It's the only guy. My base level expectation with Josh Jacobs is he is eventually paid and he is eventually playing. That's my baseline expectation. Okay. DNB says every question leads back to Trey Lance. You better believe it does. Don't know if y'all heard, Purdy not looking too good in camp right now. Now, of course, that literally means nothing. Like someone coming out. Oh, no, that's another thing I want to say. If you're like on Twitter and you're seeing someone say, this quarterback had this many completions. He went 4 for 10 in camp and the next quarterback went 5 for, it's garbage. Like don't be thinking that matters from a fantasy football perspective. But Michael says, Mason, you going to listen to the Posty album that drops tonight? I did not even know Post Malone had an album dropping tonight. I will download it tonight, and I'm going to go on a long run tomorrow, and I'll listen to it on my run tomorrow, my friend. Okay, I think we're going to go... we'll just go Nico Collins, Romeo Dobbs. Who the hell knows? Who the hell cares? I mean, none of the stacks make sense for us here. I mean, if we're looking at stacks potentially... Kenneth Gainwell is the next best Eagle. Donovan Peoples-Jones is the next best Brown. We're not taking either here. We just ruined this team. Oh my gosh. I just lit $25 on fire, ladies and gentlemen. We auto Anthony Richardson at 105. I mean, I'm sorry, ADP 105, 120. I was looking at this list of only running back, wide receiver, was thinking, okay, Nico Collins, highest guy, that's who we're going to take. It'll auto him. Did not realize the quarterbacks were there as well. So now we have a team with Jalen Hurts, Deshaun Watson, Anthony Richardson. Brutal. Cam says, if you're in a position to take Kelsey round 1, are you always taking Mahomes round 2 if he makes 2? I am not. Historically speaking, I've been a big proponent of the Mahomes-Kelsey stack, and it's been one of my top stacks I've targeted for, I want to say, 2022. I mean, Mahomes was my most drafted quarterback in fantasy. 2021, I think Kelsey was my 103, and I was taking them nonstop. But at least in underdog drafts, to go QB tight end through the first 2 rounds and have 0 wide receivers, 0 running backs, I think it's going to be very difficult to have an elite level ceiling with that start. Now, if you're in your regular redraft format where you're submitting your starting lineup each and every week and you're only starting, say, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex, in that format, I think you can do that. Now, Tomino says, see, that's why I mentioned a set. I need to, my man. Literally was saying yesterday, yeah, no, just don't auto. It's easy. Like, why? Who would auto draft? Here we go. I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. I mean, in reality, if us passing on Jacoby Myers is what, in favor of Anthony Richardson, is what causes us to not win $3 million, were we ever meant to win $3 million in the first place? Yeah, here's what we're saying. We're going to have one of these quarterbacks getting injured, right? Say Jalen Hurts gets injured and he misses the first 11, 12 weeks of the season. But he is the quarterback 1 for weeks 15, 16, 17. And we are the only team that can sneak Jalen Hurts there because we took Deshaun Watson, Anthony Richardson. That's how this works out, ladies and gentlemen. That's how we win $3 million with this team. In reality, no, we probably lit $25 on fire. We can still easily get first or second in this 12-team league in advance. Like, that's not a concern of mine at all. I think we actually still have a very good team to do just that. The issue comes down to the fantasy football playoff tournament in weeks 15, 16, 17, where we may not have the upside at that point because we wasted another roster spot on QB. So we can still easily win this 12-team league. The issue is, when we waste that pick, we're most likely not going to have the ability to win the fantasy football playoff tournament. And that's what I'm drafting whenever I'm in these underdog tournaments. I'm trying to just think weeks 15, 16, 17. Now, Cedric coming out with a donation. Thank you. Says, just got Chase, Higgins, Henry, Mixon, and Bro in a draft. How's that for a stack? I know a lot of people like this. In my mind, I am not a fan of going through and taking 4 of my first 5 picks, 1 offense. I've seen other people say differently. I've seen other people that are smarter than me go through and say, no, I mean, it's such an elite offense. They can be the number 1 NFL team in point score this next season. You can get away with it. Personally, I'm not a big guy in taking 4 players from the same offense within my first 5 picks. Okay. Tight end goes, thank God. This team takes their 7th running back. Okay, that team's completely lost. See what this team does. Are there any quarterbacks or tight ends available? I mean, they know we're not going with one, so we're a little bit of a disadvantage. But they go Tyler Higbee. We're going to pull the trigger on a couple wide receivers. Actually, do we just take Van Jefferson and then actually pivot over to Kondre Miller? We may do just that. I understand we have Kamara, but the reason being is if you look at that team that's picking next to us, they've taken 7 running backs. That team at 3, I don't know if they are new to Underdog. I don't know if they don't know what they're doing, but they've taken 7 RBs with CMC, David Montgomery, Dalvin Cook, Zach Charbonnet, Elijah Mitchell, Jarrett McKinnon, Tank Bigsby. So I think that running backs are going to be difficult to come by later on. So we'll take Kondre Miller here, and maybe we do some mental gymnastics and say, okay, this ends up working out if Jamal Williams gets injured, and then both Alvin Kamara as well as Kondre Miller end up exceeding expectations. But yeah, let's go this road. What annoys me so much about accidentally auto-drafting Anthony Richardson is this was such an exciting team, right? I mean, we had Deshaun Watson falling to us at pick 96. Justin says, are there any other websites that have fantasy draft tournaments because I'm Michigan and don't have Underdog yet? I think DK, I don't know if they're in there. I don't know the availability of Michigan. Obviously, Underdog is not in Michigan. To my understanding, and I am talking out of my ass, and I don't know. It's all about lobbying. And I know like Underdog was in Ontario, and then essentially DK and FanDuel came out and said, okay, we'll give you X amount of dollars to make us the only legal ones. And then Ontario goes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I don't know what the deal is with Michigan. I'm sure someone in the chat can help you out. Okay. Sumo says, look, even if you only win the first round here, that's $40 and that's still a $15 profit. Yeah, I mean, we could still very easily win the first round, but I'm trying to chase the $3 million, all right? I'm trying to get a lake house here, my friend. And I've been riding my bike around. If you see me riding my bike around Austin, say what's up. But I've been riding my bike around. I've been riding around some nice neighborhoods. And oh, dear God. I'm trying to get first place in Best Ball Mania, my man. That's what I'm saying here. Okay, so let's queue up some guys. We are a wide receiver running back through the rest of this draft. Probably only taking 5 RBs. I maybe would have gotten cute with it and maybe would have mixed in 6 running backs, but we just simply can't now that we accidentally go with the third quarterback. And VPN won't work with Underdog. I know VPN will work with like some like Netflix thing because it's blah, blah, blah. But do not try to do a VPN. Like, it won't work. And you should not do it in the first place. Because the last thing you want to do is win something and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, you illegally entered into this contest, you know? Because I know that's what a lot of people do with like crypto offshore like betting sites, which you should never be on those. I'm telling you right now. Please only be on something regulated like Underdog. And I'd say that regardless of if we were sponsored by Underdog or not. Like, please don't be on anything that's not regulated. And I know a lot of people like use a VPN to get on some crap like that. And then all of a sudden they can't get their money out because they are clearly on a VPN. I think Underdog won't even let you enter in a contest if you're using a VPN in general. But now, Marvin Mims off the board, 164. But yeah, I do want to give a PSA because I know a bunch of people are on like Bovada and crap like that. Do not be on anything that's unregulated. Like, there's no reason for y'all to do that. Okay, we're going to get super lucky to have Alec Pierce and Donovan Peoples-Jones both make it to us here. I mean, Donovan Peoples-Jones pairs up with Deshaun Watson for us. I guess Alec Pierce pairs up with our auto draft of Anthony Richardson. So, yeah, let's go ahead and let's pull the trigger on both those wide receivers. We need wide receiver. That's going to be the easiest turn that we have there. It's going to be the easiest. Trey says, make an MVP prediction, Mason. Last year, if you would have asked me, my MVP prediction was Mahomes. We got it right. I know. Oh, bold call, Mason. Well, Mahomes being drafted as like the QB3, QB4 in fantasy football drafts. If y'all remember, people were off Mahomes. We were getting him in round 5. If I had to go MVP this year, I think it was the guy that everybody overrated last year. If you're going for value, let's say Justin Herbert. If we're going for value. Let me look up MVP odds right now. MVP odds, NFL. The lines. And Chris coming out says, I finally got on Underdog and, of course, smash that flock promo code. Thanks, Mason. No, thank you so much for supporting the channel, my man. That's literally the number one way to support. Thank you. And let's look at this. So Mahomes plus 700, Burrow plus 700, Allen plus 700. Actually, no, let's look at the best line you could get on these guys. So Mahomes, there are a couple sports books plus 700. Burrow plus 750. Allen plus 800. Herbert plus 1,300. Hurts plus 1,200. Lamar plus 1,500. Lawrence 18-1. Rodgers 16-1. Fields 22-1. Talk about lighting money on fire. Tua 22-1. Dak 25-1. Watson 33-1. Goff 40-1. I don't think anybody else beyond here has any shot. Lance is 50-1. Lance has better odds than Stafford, Daniel Jones, Mac Jones, Jimmy G, Justin Jefferson, Sam Howell, CMC. Reality, if I had to pick some value, Watson 33-1 would be great if the league was going to be fair and just go based off of performance and merit. I think there's a situation where Watson has a phenomenal MVP type season and they just go, okay, well, we can't give it to Deshaun Watson, right? We can't do it. Justin Herbert, you could give it to the man. Plus 1,300, not go Herbert, but I will let y'all know, sportsbooks know significantly more than I do. They know significantly more than you do. So, everything's priced in there. Now, Tani, longtime member of the flock, says, best draft spot for a 2-quarterback format. I would definitely love to get a top 3 pick. That way I'd be able to come away with either Mahomes, Allen, or Hurts. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to be looking at. Top 3 pick, my friend. Okay. Now let's swing this back around. You know what this team needs? This team needs another QB. That's what we need here. Okay, we need 2 more running backs and a wide receiver. Zamir White flying up these boards. Obviously there's a reason for it. Yeah, this team needs Bryce Young so bad. Or maybe we mix in a little Trey Lance here. Hyatt goes, I think maybe we take Paris Campbell, and then should we have taken an 8th wide receiver? Yeah, we're going to go 2 running backs. We're going to go Clyde Edwards-Helaire here as well. Yeah, it is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. Would have been in a good spot if we did not accidentally auto Anthony Richardson. It is what it is. But, of course, if you have not done so already, go down there. Drop a like on this live stream. If we had 600 likes, we are going to fire up another draft. We are only 6 likes away from doing that. And if you want to get in our next draft, you can find the link to Underdog in the live chat, in the description, in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK gets you a 100% deposit match up to $100, plus our 2023 fantasy football rankings and a free trial to flockfantasy.com. But Tomino says, you know what would be sweet? A Flock Fantasy app to do drafts, a competitor to sleeper, just saying. I agree with you, my friend. Would be pretty cool. Would be pretty cool. I don't want to say too much, but let's go ahead and let's hop into our next draft. I'll let y'all know who we take at running back in that one. We're going to get into another Best Ball Mania draft. $25 buy-in, $15 million prize pool, $3 million for first, $1 million for second. I ain't going for second place here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going for first place, all right? I may have turned off the live stream. How the hell is this happening? How the hell is this happening? How am I this good? Literally. How am I this talented? Oh my God. I don't even know what to say. I swear to God, every single day we get the 101. Every single day. I'm gonna pull up how much Justin Jefferson we have at this point. We have to be pushing 13% at this point. We have to be pushing 13% Justin Jefferson. There's no way that we're not. Y'all see this? I'm 12% Justin Jefferson. 12% Justin Jefferson, ladies and gentlemen. Oh. After this draft, I think it'll be 13%. Baseline expectation for you to get the 101 and have Jefferson should be about 8.5% to get the 101. Keep in mind, I have taken Jefferson some at pick 2. So baseline expectation, if you take Jefferson always at 1 and occasionally at 2, you should have about 9% Justin Jefferson. After this draft, I'm probably going to have about 13%. So the proof is in the pudding. I'm getting pick 1 more than other picks, 100%. Yes, time to report Mason for hacking. I'd recommend everybody in this draft with us to report me. But Rex says he's at 9.4% Jefferson in 110 drafts. Well, my friend, those are rookie numbers. You got to get those up. Got to get those up. Ben says you have 4,100 invested in Jefferson? No. In Jefferson, I have $500 exactly invested. Which is funny because if you sort by entry fees, considering I did the $1,000 draft and I've done a $500 draft as well, I have 1, 2, 3. I have like 30 not 30. I have like 20 wide receivers that I'm more invested into outside of Justin Jefferson. Okay, so Chubb goes 15. No big surprises in this draft so far. I guess CMC falling down to Matthew at 5 doesn't happen too often. I just can't believe we got pick 1 again. It's like getting to a point. It's not even funny. It's like getting to a point where I'm like underdog. I don't know how much more Jalen Hurts, Justin Jefferson I can have. Okay. Yusuf says I have 28% Chase. And are you taking Chase at pick 1? Jay is 15% Jefferson. Jay has more Justin Jefferson than I do. CSM Trucking is more Justin Jefferson than I do. Oh, I love this one. I have 13% Jefferson, fan. It's pretty funny, my man. Okay. Yeah, Matthew, CMC, JT to start. Feel pretty good about that. That's how I started the $1,000 draft, my friend. I started the $1,000 draft, CMC, Taylor, and then I went Pollard round 3. Mike on the clock. Let's see if he pairs up Higgins and Chase or if he goes for the Smith-Hurts stack. And, of course, I'm taking Hurts. So he goes for the Smith-Hurts stack. My buddy, I got some bad news for you. It ain't happening. I'm going to go Jalen Hurts. Do we try to have a unique build here and go with a different player other than T. Higgins? We probably should because there are going to be a lot of other teams that have this same combo of Justin Jefferson, Jalen Hurts, T. Higgins. But I don't know. For me, it's hard to make an argument for anybody else here. I understand a lot of people like Ramondre, but there are going to be a lot of teams that have Ramondre here as well, so it's not any more unique than otherwise. On top of this, if I'm looking at Ramondre Stevenson, I'm going to be super simple. I will be fine drafting Pollard as well as Ramondre Stevenson at cost, and I'll be fine even reaching on them a little bit. Once we get to September or once we get to late August and their teams have not added in another running back. But I am a little bit worried about one of those teams adding in. I guess Dalvin looks a little less likely now, but adding in Zeke, adding in Fournette, adding in Hunt. Okay. Okay. Ridley goes 29. Yeah, so with Ridley, as soon as I saw the training camp videos, like, okay, yeah, this guy's going to go higher. Regardless of if he should or shouldn't, this guy's going higher. And I have not drafted a lot of Calvin Ridley when he's going in the middle of round 3 in these underdog drafts. And I don't know if I can. What I'm worried about is if I'm not taking Ridley here, I'm 100% fine admitting he can come out and crush me. Like if I am underweight on Calvin Ridley, I could end up losing a significant amount of money this next season if he goes out there and turns into a top 3 wide receiver in fantasy. Like that is 100% a possibility. With that being said, though, I just don't know. Round 3 is a pretty steep price tag. Now, round 3 last year, the wide receivers we were fading like the plague were Michael Pittman, Cortland Sutton, Gabe Davis. But I wasn't worried about fading those guys. Like I was very comfortable. I was sleeping well at night. I wasn't worried about Michael Pittman coming out and crushing us when he was going in round 3. I'm a little bit worried about that when it comes to Calvin Ridley, if I'm going to be honest with you. Michael says, Terry McLaurin last year, Cortland Sutton, Loki. Honestly, Terry McLaurin of 2023 is the same as Terry McLaurin in 2022. It's the same as Terry McLaurin in 2021. It's the same as Terry McLaurin in 2020, in 2019. He's a low-end wide receiver 2, high-end wide receiver 3 that will make some highlight grabs and make people think he's a little bit better than he is. He'll have a very high rating on Madden. That's for damn sure. Najee off the board, 41. Breece Hall makes it to round 4 in this draft with the Dalvin Cook rumors. Yeah, so that team pairs up Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall to make that one consolidated bet on the Jets offense. Jay likes Team 11. I mean, Piona says Sutton is a major insult. Terry's an actually good wide receiver. Yeah, what was so funny about Sutton going round 3 last year and people calling Sutton the next Cup is Sutton literally had never been a top 24 wide receiver from a points per game perspective. ETN goes 44. I don't want to say too much. Burrow goes 45. That's a team that didn't have Chase. Really interesting to see that team with no Chase taking Burrow here. And we had Higgins. Hopkins goes 46. We're going to take Mixon, and then I'm going to take Kenneth Walker. I'm not going to explain why right now, but remind me to explain why we're doing this later on. This is setting something up later on. I don't want to dive into it too much right this second. But just trust me on this one. Trust me on this one. Dobbins goes 52. Yeah, we saw Dobbins fall a considerable amount in the draft previous to this with the injury concerns. Okay, Fields 53. Oh, I love Matthew's team here. CMC, Taylor, ETN at running back, Fields at QB. If Ridley does turn into like a top 5 wide receiver, that is a phenomenal team. Also setting himself up to possibly go Lawrence later on, pick 68. I feel like if you wait till round 5 for Fields, you can get away with round 6 Lawrence. Okay. Matthew says, I'm sorry. Shouldn't have said anything, my man. Shouldn't have said anything. All right. Okay, Madison goes 65. What we set up, I think, is still in play. We'll see if it happens. We'll see if it happens. Hurricane Lane says Ramsey's out until September. I didn't see that. I saw that. Okay, let me know in the live chat. How long is Jalen Ramsey missing? Everybody spam. I'm sure somebody here is going to have the right answer. How long is he missing? Soren says 6 to 8 weeks. Is this 6 to 8 weeks in the season or 6 to 8 weeks from today? Rex says he just saw December as well. They're saying until December. Obviously, my brain's just broken. It just immediately jumps to, okay, does this make an impact in fantasy? Does Tua become a little bit more appealing? Does Waddle, Tyreek become a little bit more appealing if they have to throw the ball more to stay in games? In reality, there's probably not a big impact on this, but I think we set ourselves up exactly how we wanted, ladies and gentlemen. Very happy with our decision to go Joe Mixon, Kenneth Walker where we did. What I wanted was the ability to go Kyle Pitts and Dallas Goedert here at this turn. So this is going to be something that I'm going to try doing more often. Y'all know in general, I like going with these two tight ends at this price point. I like TJ Hawkinson with where he goes as well. But the issue is when we take TJ Hawkinson with a Jalen Hurts team at pick 24, we box ourselves out of the ability of taking Kyle Pitts at 72. I easily prefer Kyle Pitts over Jahan Dotson here. And I do want to give ourselves the ability to take Pitts over Dotson. But if we would have gone Hawkinson instead of Kenneth Walker at 49, then instead we would have had to go Jahan Dotson and Dallas Goedert, which is something that I just simply don't want to do. So, yeah, really like this team. Wide receiver Jefferson, Higgins, running back Mixon, Kenneth Walker, quarterback Jalen Hurts stacked with Dallas Goedert, and tight end, the bully tight end approach with Kyle Pitts, Dallas Goedert. I really like this team. Megan, the bet on the Philadelphia Eagles offense, the Cincinnati Bengals offense. Okay. Duke says, Ramsey said, I'll be back on the fields better than ever in due time. Imagine how funny it would be if Jalen Ramsey came out and said, guys, I'm not going to lie to you. This injury is going to take it out of me. I'm going to come back hopefully in December, but I'm probably not going to be as good as I once was. Of course he's going to say. Of course every player's going to say, yeah, I'll be better than ever. I'll be better than ever. Don't you worry. Okay. Nick says, just don't auto a couple of quarterbacks. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, at this point, I'm fine with an auto draft of Anthony Richardson. As long as, I mean, we'll see if we get Deshaun Watson at big 96, 97. Max says, do stacks matter just as much in redraft as they do in best ball? Stacks matter in redraft, stacks matter in dynasty, stacks matter in best ball. The only thing I would adjust is in best ball, your stacks matter even when it comes down to like your wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5. In redraft, when you're going that deep, stacks aren't going to be as important, and it's more so just going to be the premium stacks that matter. In best ball, stacking your wide receiver 6 with your quarterback actually helps. In your redraft format, you probably shouldn't even take a wide receiver 6, right? So it just kind of depends on what you're looking at. Let's see what happens here. Zay Flowers, Elijah Moore, both off the board. Let's move this down. Javonte Williams goes 86. It's sad that we're no longer able to get Javonte Williams round 9. I mean, y'all know I have a considerable amount of Javonte Williams, have a considerable amount of Alvin Kamara. I can't really get Kamara round 9 too often either. But we'll see. Rashad Bateman goes 87. Okay, here, let's play a guessing game here. We almost have 1,000 people in this live chat. Really need y'all's input on this. If Dalvin Cook goes to the Jets, he has an ADP now of 94, running back 30. If Dalvin Cook signs with the Jets tomorrow, does he go up? Does he go down? Or does he stay the same? Please, if everybody can spam the chat, let me know their thought process. Would love to hear it. Does he go up, down, or stay the same? Okay. Up, down, down. About stays the same. Up, down, 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 down. Up, same, down. Same, up, same. So it looks like most people have him slightly moving up. I'll try to take a guess with y'all on where he may end up going. Not in terms of where he signs, but in fantasy football drafts, if he were to go to the Jets. So Tyler Boyd off the board, 93. James Cook goes. We're going to take Dalvin here at 96. And I'm going to reach on A.J. Dillon as well. But let me try to figure out where Dalvin Cook goes if he signs with the Jets. Would I rather have Dalvin Cook as a New York Jet or Alvin Kamara? Obviously, kind of depends on the Kamara's suspension case, so let's ignore that for now. Would I rather have Jets, Dalvin Cook, or James Cook? I'd probably rather have Dalvin Cook. Would I rather have Isaiah Pacheco or Dalvin Cook on the Jets? Probably a toss-up. I'd rather have Javonte Williams. I think, honestly, Dalvin would stay the same or maybe move up just a little bit. I don't know. But Luke says, can you tell us why you drafted Walker? Yeah, so essentially I didn't take Hawkinson there so I could set myself up to take Kyle Pitts, Dallas Goedert, pick 72, 73. That's the reason being, my friend. And yeah, why I'm going to take Dillon here is just in general, I think you're going to get the teardrop at running back relatively soon after this range. Whereas wide receiver, all these guys are going to be about the same for me for the next 4-ish rounds. Now, with that being said, I mean, you could look at Antonio Gibson. Gibson does have a higher ADP than A.J. Dillon, but A.J. Dillon has been going here all offseason. Antonio Gibson was going about 30 to 40 picks after this, whenever these Best Ball Mania tournaments just open. So if we were to take Antonio Gibson at this price point, and he were to go out there and crush, we are going to have to go up against some Antonio Gibson teams that got him around 11, that got him in round 12, that may be out kicking us. It's not the end of the world, right? But I do think we can use that as enough of a tiebreaker where it moves the needle for us, right? It's enough of a tiebreaker where I think it matters. But in reality, I think you can almost do anything that you want at those picks. Okay. Now, Frymuth and Jokugo really do like the price point on these guys. Ross Kretz says, why is Gibson going higher than Robinson? People are excited about the Antonio Gibson usage as a receiver. And obviously, Brian Robinson doesn't have as much of that. Let's move this over. In general, if you look at my rankings on flockfantasy.com, you'll see that I have Gibson and Brian Robinson ranked essentially back-to-back. So if you're looking at like your regular redraft format, where Brian Robinson goes about 1 to 2 rounds ahead of Antonio Gibson, like on ESPN, there I'd rather wait and take Antonio Gibson. Whereas if you're looking at Underdog, where Brian Robinson sometimes goes 13, 14 picks after Antonio Gibson, I'd rather have Brian Robinson. Okay, let's move this over. Devon A-Chain off the board. We can still go quarterback. So the quarterbacks in play for us, Cousins and Daniel Jones are both in play. I mean, Daniel Jones, we could always grab some Giants wide receivers later on. Cousins, we have Jefferson. Obviously, the majority of these drafts, the Jefferson team is going with Cousins. Zay Jones, 116. Odell Beckham Jr. is falling a considerable amount in these drafts. I wasn't drafting a lot of Odell at cost previously, but is there a reason why Odell's been falling this much? Like, was there anything that came out today, yesterday, or the day before that I may not have seen with Odell Beckham Jr.? As well, we got him 16 picks past ADP in the other draft we did. Michael said he said this last year. I guess that's not a great sign. I like Juju more than him anyway. Let's go ahead and let's take Juju Smith-Schuster. I talked about this previously, but if you are looking at Juju, this is a wide receiver that saw a pretty considerable fall whenever you had the reports that DeAndre Hopkins was going to go over to New England. At least whenever that was being rumored, at that point, you saw Juju Smith-Schuster fall from being like a mid-round 9 selection to a mid-round 10 selection. Once Hopkins signed in Tennessee, I figured the market was going to change just a bit and move Juju Smith-Schuster back up to where he was going previously. But hell, they haven't, and I'm going to start drafting Juju now. Let me see exactly how many teams I have him on. Not a ton, but definitely getting more and more. Yeah, so I have Juju Smith-Schuster in 6% of drafts, and I'm going to continue to take him if he continues to fall. Now, Jarrett McKinnon off the board, 122. I like our team. I really like our team. I know it's not a popular thing to just go extremely light on wide receivers and avoid wide receivers in rounds 7, 8, 9 like we do. But in general, I just think that the wide receivers like Sky Moore, Courtland Sutton, Zay Jones are so similar to the guys that you have in like rounds 11, 12, 13, 14. Whereas running backs, I do think that there's a pretty big difference between like the Dalvin Cook, A.J. Dillon versus like the Jarrett McKinnons of the world. But of course, if y'all want another draft after this one, go down there, drop a like on this live stream. If we hit 800 likes in the stream, we'll fire up another draft. And if you want to get in said draft, this is Underdog Fantasy. It's where we draft literally every single day on the live stream. Again, sign up with the link in the comment section, with the link in the description. If you use promo code FLOCK, they'll match first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, we get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com. It's available in damn near every state. You can see the states here And this is the same place where Underdog has all those player props that y'all see in all the videos, right? I mean, let's see. If y'all are really, really worried about Josh Jacobs, look at these Josh Jacobs props. If you wanted to take, okay, this is very interesting. They have Nick Chubb plus half a rushing touchdown versus Josh Jacobs. I'm actually going to add that to one of our favorite lines. Yeah, that's very interesting. You can get Nick Chubb versus Josh Jacobs with these props, and you're getting an extra 50 rushing yards on the Nick Chubb side. I did not expect to see that. Okay. So let's move this over. Someone's saying Chubb over Jacobs. Not gonna disagree, and you can get a free 50 yards added on, my friend. Now, Goff, Rodgers go. Once we take Kirk Cousins here, we are not planning on taking another quarterback. Now, of course, you never know. Maybe we go ahead and auto one. We'll see. We'll see. But Fantasy Stock Exchange, happy to see all it out here, says the Dak lines are free money right now. Didn't mean, okay, so I'm assuming this is Danny if he's coming out and hyping up Dak. Let's look at the Dak lines. All right. What are the Dak lines? 26.5 passing touchdowns, 4,000 passing yards, 12.5 interceptions. They have Dak versus Lawrence with passing yards, and they're giving Lawrence an extra 50. I agree with you, my friend. I think that this is a pretty strong spot to take a Dak Prescott line, but we're probably going with Trevor Lawrence plus 50 passing yards in comparison to Dak Prescott. But hate to do you like that, my man. Hate to do you like that. Okay. Now let's smooth this background. Clearly what we are hoping for is we are hoping for wide receivers. Oh. Already hitting you, my man. Says over on interceptions. Oh, brutal. Rondo Moore goes Dalton Schultz. And I want to be clear with everybody with those underdog player props. My opinion is you should never take the more than. I mean, what we saw from last year's, I believe, across all player prop sites, I think it was like 65% of the time the less than hit on the season-long player props. So the only props I'm taking are like the rivals, like between those two guys, and taking the side on an individual player versus another, or taking the fewer than on one of those lines that I like. Okay. Now, Irv Smith Jr. off 141. We love to see that. I wonder if that team is just in so many of these underdog drafts that they're not even caring right now about looking at the overall context of the board that they're drafting in. I understand a lot of people are going to go Osborne to set up the double stack there with Kirk Cousins. And maybe we should. Who the hell cares, right? We're going to go Tyler Algier as our fifth RB before this teardrop happens at running back. And then, sure, we'll take KJ Osborne. I mean, if a lot of these spots will have Cousins double stacked with Jefferson and Hawkinson. And then at that point, I'm not too inclined to feel like we need to go ahead and take Osborne just to pair up with Cousins. But if we don't have Hawkinson, I feel like probably makes sense to do so. So now wide receiver, we have Jefferson, Higgins, Juju, KJ Osborne. Now, obviously, we're slamming wide receivers through the rest of this draft. They're going to be pretty much every single pick after this. Quarterback, we have Hurts stacked up with Goddard. We have Cousins stacked up with Jefferson and Osborne. And running back, we have Mixon, Kenneth Walker, Dalvin Cook, A.J. Dillon, as well as Tyler Algier. Okay. Yeah, but I really don't understand what that team taking Irv Smith Jr. there is doing. I mean, we already have Pitts, Goddard. We're not taking Irv Smith Jr. 15 picks before ADP. This team already has Ingram, Dalton, Kincaid. There's no way in hell that team's taking Irv Smith Jr. 15 picks ahead of ADP. So I don't know why you feel like you have to go ahead and grab him this early. You pretty much get him guaranteed on the way back around. You get a 148. 148 you're reaching regardless. Soren says, I've been hearing good things about Lance at camp. Is his ADP rising? My friend, don't get me too excited. Don't get me too excited. Okay. Now, We are just slamming wide receivers through the next 4 or 5 rounds, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a build where we have 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends, 5 running backs, and 9 wide receivers, with hopefully Jefferson and Higgins holding down the fort. See, my bro says, yes, he went from QB 33 to QB 32. Love to see it. Fantasy Stock Exchange just finished my 75th Best Ball Mania this week. You in Buffalo, my dude? How are you getting in these? How are you getting in these? Great things like them saying Lance is still the quarterback 3 and at least he's still on the roster. Yeah, I mean, Trey Lance's key card to get in the building still works. Great news for us and all our teams. Great news for us. About 45 of them slow. Brutal. Can't imagine how your life was when you were in 45 slow drafts. Oh. All right. Let's move this over. Kyler Murray, Derek Carr, best players available. We can't go with them. We can only do one thing, and that's wide receiver. Saying, man, it was pain. Oh, I believe it. Yeah, I do not do slow drafts on Underdog. I'm not about it. I've had my fix of slow drafts over the years. I mean, I've been in slow drafts in Dynasty since 2014. Back in the day, I loved it because I had nothing going on when I was in high school. I had nothing going on when I was in college. I was able to just stare at draft boards all day and load up the draft board and refresh every 10 seconds to see if someone made a pick. Now I don't have the time to refresh every 10 seconds to see if someone made the pick. I can't do it. Okay. Now, Deontay Foreman chart goes. Would have been excited about having DJ Chark there, 164. Simmer Bro says, what do you mean you have time in college? You're funny. First few years in college, I had time. If you all don't know, I graduated with a couple degrees in 4 years from the University of Texas. I didn't add on the second major / the second degree until my junior year, though. That's when things got busy, and I didn't start the YouTube channel until my junior year as well. Actually, I started at sophomore year. Never mind. I started at sophomore year. But yeah, junior, senior year, super busy. Senior year, I'd say I was busier than most people on planet Earth. But freshman and sophomore year in college, oh, you have all the time in the world. Just doing nothing. Curtis Samuel goes, do we have any real news on Jaden Reed? Guess not. I'm going to go ahead and we'll just take Tim Patrick, Jaden Reed. Let's not overthink it. We just need wide receivers that can possibly just randomly pop off in our starting lineup, right? You never know. You never know. Okay. Let's move this down. All right, Shakir off 170. Looks like these people are really slowing down at this point. Tajay Spears. And I want to go through and show a little bit more what I mean by this flat tier that you have at wide receiver. Like if you just look at the props that you have, like starting off, say, with, in my mind, the teardrop kind of happens after Quentin Johnston. Starting off with like Zay Flowers, right? Let's look at Zay Flowers and the expectations this next season from a player prop perspective, because these are pretty solid projections to be looking at. They have Zay Flowers for 600 receiving yards. We just took Tim Patrick, who is at 540. Not a big gap. Elijah Moore, right after Zay Flowers, is at 515. Not a big gap. Who else goes there? Bateman. Let's look at Rashad Bateman. Bateman, 600. Same range. Michael Thomas. They don't have a lineup for Thomas. Can't blame them. Tony. Doubt they have a lineup for Tony anymore. Do they have one up for Boyd? No, they do not. Let's look at the Sutton one. Sutton, 725. Like, all these guys are in the same range. I think once you get past, like, the George Pickens, John Dotson, Michael Pittman, Mike Evans, like, once you get past round 6, round 7, all these wide receivers are about the same, at least in my mind. Whereas running backs, I do think, like, there's a pretty big drop from, like, Gus Edwards and Tyler Algier. Okay. Travis coming out with a donation. Thank you. Says 10-team full PBR, 2-keeper league. Got second overall pick. Cup in the 4th. Debating CD in the 2nd or Watson and Ridley in the last round because they were waiver wire ads. Personally, I would go ahead and I would keep Lamb in the 2nd. I mean, I talk about this time and time again, but in general, what I find is in keeper formats, people actually overthink it and overrate the cost that they are keeping individual players at. If you were to go through and look at the player pool that's going to be available to you in the 2nd round, keep in mind, in reality, it's going to be like the 4th round of a regular league, right? So if you were looking at a 4th round of a regular league, the options that you would have are guys like Najee Harris, Terry McLaurin, DJ Moore, Drake London, Christian Watson. So the question is, would you rather have Christian Watson and Calvin Ridley or CeeDee Lamb? You'd probably just rather have CeeDee Lamb, especially if it's only a 10-team format when you should be going after the straight up studs. Yeah. Just go ahead and give me the stud. Yeah, give me the guy that you would rather have straight up. Okay, let's move this over. So now quarterback, we have Hurts, Cousins. Running back, we have Mixon, Walker, Dalvin, Dillon, Algier. Wide receiver, we have Jefferson, Higgins, Juju, Osborne, Patrick, Jaden Reed. Tight end, we have Kyle Pitts as well as Dallas Goedert. Okay. Did we have any real news on Hyatt? Fine after overheating on Wednesday. It sounds like my computer. The Jalen Hyatt report is the same report my computer has. Fine after overheating on Wednesday. Hyatt returned to practice Thursday after exiting early Wednesday due to heat exhaustion. How freaking hot is it in New York? I've never been to New York before, but I'd imagine it wouldn't get that hot. How hot is it there? Are you freaking kidding me? The high was 92. The high in Austin, Texas, like 105. What are we talking about here? But it is what it is. I figured in Canada it never got above 50. But who? Mark says it's way more humid. A lot more humidity in New York. Parker goes. We just need to grab a couple wide receivers. We're going to do something I know a lot of people like. We're going to take a pair of New York Giants players. We're going to go Hyatt as well as Wan'Dale Robinson. I'm sorry. I know I've drafted a lot of Wan'Dale Robinson. I know I'm an idiot, but I love the prospect. Flashed as a rookie. Wide open depth chart. So let's take the guy here. But Cam says, my most drafted players in best ball. Jake, probably not that great once you have Hopkins coming over. Etienne, Nico Collins, Dameon Pierce. Are you high on these guys this season? Dameon Pierce at cost going at the 6-7 turn. I love. Etienne at cost going in the middle of round 4. I really like as well. The year 2 tight end in Tennessee. Not a massive fan now that you have DeAndre Hopkins over there just demanding 25% of this team's target share. And Nico Collins, kind of whatever. I mean, I take Nico Collins when I need a wide receiver in that range, but I'm not necessarily high or low on Collins. But looks like we have been live for about 2 hours, ladies and gentlemen. So we're most likely going to call this live stream here, but thank you so much for everybody hanging out with us. And of course, if you want to get into the drafts with us tomorrow, the next day, the day after that, we're doing this every single day until 2024. So make sure you're subscribed. And if you want to get in one of those drafts, this is Underdog Fantasy, same place that you saw those player props. Sign up with promo code FLOCK. They're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, you'll get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com. It's available in damn near every state. You can see all the states here. It's best ball, so no time commitment at all during the season. That's how I drafted 700 teams and won $150,000 last year. Not meant to replace your main fantasy football league, just meant to be some extra fun on the side. But thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. Really, really do appreciate y'all, and really hope I get to see you out in the live stream tomorrow night.